Okay, I don't really remember what I wanted to say in this video, but I have been watching Moon Knight. I'm 3 episodes in at the time of filming. I will either edit in an update or put it in the comments if I think of anything more over the next few episodes. And I also had Primal Fear, which is somewhere. There it is! Primal Fear. So I watched that one first. Now, you may have noticed if you know anything. Okay, spoiler alert for Primal Fear. It's from the 90s. You've had plenty of time to watch. So both Primal Fear and Moon Knight have split personality themes. You know, multiple personality, DID, whatever you want to call it. Because I'm super predictable. I mean, can you see what else I've got that might be on a similar... We've got fucking Fight Club, and we've got Venom, and even like Tom Cruise's The Mummy has it a lot. And then what we've got, Dexter is kind of similar as well. There's the movie that my voice was in, The Possessed, which you can barely see. And there's a few others behind there. You can also see some more kid stuff, but kid stuff. Anyway, predictable, me, split personality fiction. Why? Because I don't really like talking about it, but I also get to this point where there's just like too much pressure and it has to come out of me in one way or another. So I would try not to be vague, but it's hard not to be vague when I'm feeling insecure about a thing. And this is like the most insecure thing for me about my mental illnesses. But yeah, the idea of identity disturbance is something that I deal with now and then. And often when I watch some of these things, or like read, there's certain books as well, like the first Earthsea book. Very predictably a thing I'm into. Yeah, a lot of the time, at least in the past, when I watched them or read them or whatever, it would sort of, I think, set off an empathy circuit, and then my brain would, it would just set off that feeling of not being like myself. And I don't want to make this video. Okay, so like in summary, the Primal Fear didn't set off the dissociation for me. And a lot of things these days don't have as much effect, or if they do, it's a delayed effect. So when I watched the first episode, I wasn't expecting it to affect me, but it was almost immediate, like when it finished. Often in the past, though, when I've watched something, it's like during watching that I would have the symptoms. This time, like now, it seems to be like at the end, credits are rolling, and then I notice it, and it was like so intense that like it just completely took me by surprise. And that's the first time Triton has seen me go through that. I don't really want to talk about it. Okay, don't have to post this if it's too much. Anyway, so I did sort of go through that whole switching process. I hate using DID terminology, but like, is there anything that suits it better? And I think at first you thought I was just having like a regular breakdown, because he will comfort me when I'm on a depression spiral. And he also shows me concern when I just sniffle. But yeah, but then I went through like the whole actual process, and I wasn't me anymore. And he wasn't really sure what to make of it. See, I don't lose my memory, and that's what I think fucks me up even more, because at least if I lost my memory, I wouldn't have to... It'd be more, like, obvious. It wouldn't just be like, why am I acting like this? Why is it so hard for me to just not? What is my brain doing? Yeah, and I'm not looking at the camera, and I'm not looking at myself on the screen, and I'm just trying to get through explaining, like, what happened. Anyway, so his reaction, first of all, like, head tilts. And then he was like, you know, trying to glomp me, which I don't think is a sign that he knew that I wasn't in my usual state of mind, because he would just try and glomp me a lot of the time anyway. The thing is, like, in that state of mind, I let him, like, lick my face all over, and just reacted quite differently. And I don't know if, like, maybe that gave him some hint that something was different, because he did bark at me at one point. Anyway, so I still managed to get through his night routine though, because I think there was a point where in that state of mind, like, that version of me just wasn't going to do his night routine. So I was able to, like, bring it back to myself, which is just, like, fucked up to talk about. I don't know how to explain all this stuff as well, because, like, there's some, feels like physical, it's almost like a pain, but it's not really a pain. And I remember writing down, like, there was a neck pain, and then it moved further down onto my shoulders later. And I think by then it was affecting me less. But the neck pain was new. Like, I've had the shoulder stuff, sort of upper body stuff before. And anyway, I don't really know what he thought was going on. But yeah, he noticed something was up. But yeah, that's the first time he's seen me, like, sort of switch, for lack of a better term. And it's probably the first time I've actually had that whole switch in a while. But I can't really, I would have to go back through my notes to see when the last major one was. But it took me by surprise. And then, like, I can't just not watch Moon Knight now. Like, you know, you've got to go through the whole story, right? But also, I don't feel like it's my choice to stop watching, because there's a point where that pressure, like, it wants to come out in a way. I hate having to describe it that way, but, like, whatever it is, it wants to come out of me sometimes, and it's like, makes me watch this stuff and makes me have this fucking collection. It just, anyway, so it feels like I don't really have much say in whether I watch this stuff or not. I feel like also though, like, I had been putting off watching it, but I think what set it off is when I had that health check, so the mental health plan thing with my doctor, you know, she had to go through, like, how am I doing? What am I hoping to achieve with the psychologist? We went through, like, the questionnaire, which has to do with, like, anxiety and depression. I'm still showing up as severely depressed, but I think that's probably because with the schizoid stuff, you know, like, I just don't think there's any meaning in life. I feel that all the time, regardless of how depressed I am, but that is considered to be a severe depression symptom. So yeah, the score, like, when I answer the questions, the score I get still says I'm severely depressed, even though I feel like I'm doing better at the moment. But then there was a point where my doctor asked me about whether I'd had any more dissociative episodes, and I just wasn't expecting the question, because we almost never talk about it, and she was kind of awkward the first time I brought it up. But that took me off guard, and then that night is when I started watching this. And I feel like sometimes when people bring it up, that can set it off. Especially when it's unexpected, and I guess there's, like, this mild panic, like, I've forgotten that people know. And I don't know, like, it's probably not as big a deal as my brain wants to make it. But I feel like making a big deal of it is a symptom. Like, I'm supposed to feel awkward about it. And then do stupid videos like this. How long has this gone on for? Okay. Anyway, so that's what happened with the Moon Knight. And, like, I think what really took me off guard is, like, because I got through Primal Fear fine, I was like, surely this will be fine too, but apparently not. And I think some of the depictions I guess they're more relatable, and they also go through the process of switching, which is switching. What happens to me is very uncomfortable. It's very rare that it's like this easy, seamless thing. And I'm just trying not to make it happen, and then it happens anyway. If I'm on my own, you know, I kind of need to be around people to feel like I can have enough of that wall up to not go there and have the distractions and, yeah, anyway, so with Moon Knight as well, they really tried to get a more accurate depiction of DID, and like, this is my second time watching it, and, by the way, I don't have DID. I don't know why possible DID is on my fucking file when I don't lose my memory. Like, that automatically disqualifies, I keep saying it. Maybe I have something on that spectrum, but it's not full DID. And I still think it's a schizoid thing. I should put a poll up for the schizoids in my audience, whether they experience anything similar and how common it is. Because I did come across a theory about schizoids that might be relevant to the dissociation, but I don't know if it's actually a thing, because the research is so fucked. Anyway, no, so with Moon Knight, like, I know people who are into the comics maybe don't like it as much because they have a particular idea of what Moon Knight should be. I didn't come into it with that baggage, and so they really tried to depict DID in a bit more of a realistic way, minus the superhero, etc. stuff. And there's actually stuff that I picked up on this second watch so far that I didn't pick up before. So it's like, you know, with some of the dialogue, it's set up that he's actually been going through it for a while. I mean, that's kind of obvious, but like, there's a lot more details about what he was going through that I didn't pick up. And then also how recent the more intrusive switches were. And, you know, we find out later, spoiler alert if you haven't watched Moon Knight, okay? We find out later that his mum recently died, but you do get a hint earlier on about time frames, because, you know, it's been a few months since that Layla chick has seen him. And she doesn't know that the mum's dead. So it's only within the last few months that he's been having these issues more. And there is a, like, you know, okay, I don't know how much of the DID theory to take seriously, because it's a very controversial area. As the DID people will tell you, it's not controversial, but it fucking is. But according to their theories, is like, the death of an abuser is what can bring it out, or like trigger it, or make it more severe. And so that's clearly what's happened to him. And it just makes me a little bit anxious about my situation, because like, I don't think I have it, but what if I did, and I'm just like super in denial, but also in that stage before it really gets bad. And so like, if I mean, I'm still in the situation that gave me a lot of my mental health problems. And like, you know, eventually, if I escape the situation, is that when my brain is going to go crazy? Okay. That's something to be a little bit nervous about. Because, like, what if it did get worse? What if I did lose my memory? I'm, like, kind of paranoid. That's one of the reasons I don't drink, because I'm just, like, for ages have been paranoid about being able to remember what's been going on. I have, like, you know, a bunch of reasons not to drink, but that's one from, like, a very young age. Like, you know, there's just that what if that makes me a bit uncomfortable. And then I think about how I did move out for a bit with my ex, and, you know, I wasn't completely free from this situation because I had to come back every weekend to work, because I wasn't able to find a job out there in that shithole. But now that I think of it, I did have more severe symptoms when I was away from this situation. I guess because the idea is that you're safe. Like, what does safe even mean? Like, emotionally safe for me, maybe? I don't know, but I just, like, that was and things that happened while I moved out could have ended not well. There's some stuff I'm still just not going to talk about. Even with the whole you can delete this later thing, yeah, I'm just not going to go into at this stage. But yeah, no, I do remember now, like, there were things, but, you know, also my ex kind of, like, encouraged it. And so this is, like, one of those things, like, with the whole TikTok Tourette syndrome thing, when people are encouraging it, it can make things worse than they actually are. So I don't know if my ex made it worse than it was, although I was having symptoms well before that, and, you know, struggling a lot. And I feel like the whole reason I even got into a relationship in the first place is because of that pressure. It's like trying to find an outlet somewhere, and it's like, oh, that looks like a safe person, maybe. I don't really know. Anyway, so that kind of makes me nervous watching that. So yeah, to try and make those things kind of accurate, that was like the first episode, and then maybe the second one. Also his reaction to when, like, you know, he sees Mark in the reflection, and Mark's telling him, you know, that he's the avatar of Khonshu. And Steven's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That would be my reaction. That's like the most sensible reaction. And then he's like, you know, planning to get himself arrested and locked up and filled up on pills. I'm like, yep, that's a perfectly reasonable way to react to that shit. Yeah. So there's some funny shit in there. And like the struggle between them as well. There's some relatable shit there, although it's probably more relatable to... Oof. Yeah, it's more relatable to the other part of me, because that's the part that doesn't get to do very much. And then the third episode, we actually see some more obvious switches. I mean, there's when Khonshu takes over during the like trial thing, and you know, you can sort of see like the acting. Oh my god, the acting does my head in, because it's just like, how do you do that? So like, you know, I think he was Mark at the time, and then when Khonshu takes over, you can see the whole physical change going on, and then he drops back into Mark, and it's just like, holy shit, that was intense. But then later on, you know, they've got the map thing, and he has to let Steven piece it together, and he sort of like walks away from the wife because I guess he doesn't want her to see the change happen. And I'm like, I feel that same way. I don't want anyone to see that shit. It's distressing. I mean, it's nothing like he goes through a very easy change at that point, but I just don't need anyone to see that shit. Like, it's bad enough my dog saw it. But yeah, no, and just like you can see what the actor does is like, Mark has a very like intense eyebrows in particular, and Steven is very like high eyebrow, like constantly deer in the headlights kind of look. And just like when the switch happens, like I don't think my eyebrows even move that much. Like as an actor, I can't even get that same effect. I don't know how he does that. But you know, this is why the actors get the money for this shit, right? And then like the change in voice, like it's not just the accent, it's not just the American to the British accent, it's like the vocal tone that he's speaking with. And I'm just like, you know, having to watch switches like that. I mean, there's a Jekyll and Hyde one with like Dougray Scott. It appears on YouTube every now and then. That one actually has the switch that I find most relatable, and also like the first time that his Mr. Hyde appears, this super relatable shit in that one. That's hard to watch, but it's also like I can't stop because it is so relatable, and especially that part of me is like, no, keep watching. Where was I going? I'm just like, yeah, watching it, and I think, so at the end of episode 3, Khonshu's been imprisoned, but actually during my first watch of the of Moon Knight, the scene where Khonshu is trying to accuse Harrow at the trial, it didn't really make sense to me. Like, why doesn't he show any evidence? But now that I think of it, they don't actually have the physical evidence. Although you'd think the gods would be able to, like, see what's going on, but apparently they can't. So, like, I'm less annoyed with it now. Kind of like I'm less annoyed with the court scene in that Jekyll and Hyde with G. Gray Scott, because, like, I get what they were doing now. It's just, like, I didn't pick up a lot of the stuff the first few times around. Because I've watched that way more than is healthy, because I cannot help myself. It's kind of a scary thought that I just can't not do a thing. But I guess that's how people get addictions and people get into all kinds of trouble, is just because there are some impulses that logic can't completely defend against. It just kind of happens and you get swept away in it. But yeah, so the next episode, I think it's the 5th episode, where he's like, they do the mental hospital thing, and that one really tripped me out the first time around, and I'm a bit nervous to see how I react when I finally get up to it. But with that one, like, I love the way that they made it so, like, you wonder if it was all just his mental illness hallucination. Like, you wonder if that's what's been going on. Has he actually been in the mental hospital the whole time since his breakdown at the museum? And, like, was he actually just imagining it all? Like, I love how well done that is. And that's why, like, you know, I don't know what Moon Knight the comic was meant to be, but I think they did a really good job for someone who's completely fresh of, like, the DID and the superhero shit, mixing it up together and showing a few different perspectives and making you wonder what the fuck is actually going on with him. It's some clever shit. I like it. And that's what this is, like, absolute me bait, because it's not just a split personality thing. It's got fucking ancient Egypt in there as well, and a whole bunch of, like, mental psychological fuckery going on. It's just like, hell yeah. I mean, you know, there's some of the Egypt stuff that I might be a bit like, yeah, I'm not sure that's actually how that is, but hey, well, suspend some disbelief. You know, like, that's probably like The Mummy as well. Tom Cruise's one. I don't care about the other guy. It's gonna be Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is already crazy. I think that's why I like him, because he's insane. Which is also kind of relatable. Anyway, no, I don't know if this was going anywhere. It's just, like, sort of trying to get shit out of my head and try and explain some stuff that I've been vague posting to some friends. Yeah, it's really hard to talk about some things. Anyway, so completely by coincidence, if I watch one episode a night, I will be finished, I think, the, like, night before I go and see my psychologist, and I have been writing bits and pieces of this in my psych journal for her. So the thing is, like, I can't bring it up myself. I need her to bring it up, because I am kind of, like, insecure, and if she lets me talk about other stuff, then I will just talk about other stuff. It's really hard for me to bring it up in therapy, so I know I've got to, like, deal with it at some point, and hopefully she brings it up. It's just, like, when people do bring it up, I guess I'll be ready for it this time. I wasn't ready for my GP to bring it up, because I know she's, like, I think she's awkward about it. She doesn't really want to talk about it. Because it is, like, a sort of what the fuck kind of thing. But, like, I'm ready for my psychologist to bring it up. I think. And hopefully, like, I think she's very gentle, and so I on the one hand, that's good because I feel a bit more comfortable, but on the other hand, I need to get through some of the uncomfortable shit to be able to talk about it. It's like I kind of need her to be a bit more, like, pushing for information out of me, because I feel like that's the only way you can get it. Anyway, I'm hungry. I should go and get something proper to eat, because I only had a little bit. I don't know about the mango one. Anyway, so that's just, like, I've got to edit this because I did the intro separately, and then I had my little, like, I don't know why it's so hard to talk about. It shouldn't be. Like, I used to, on my channel previously, like 15 years ago or whatever it was, I did used to talk about it more easily, I thought, but then I was more unhinged back then, and nowadays I'm a little bit more settled and less inclined. And then there's more people watching me, and people who know me in real life, and that makes it awkward as well. Because, like, it wasn't so bad when it was just, like, in my head, just a sort of private thing. But, like, I even remember in high school, it wasn't already an issue that far back. And, it was starting to affect me a bit in terms of, you know, during class time. And I'm just, like, trying to keep my shit together during class. I remember things like that. I think if I didn't have the, RPG thing at night, like, I needed the outlet for it. It's like, okay, the double life is I go to school and just do my shit, come home, hop on the internet, and then that's when that can come out. But I don't really have anything like that anymore. The music thing didn't really work. I mean, that's why I got into music, is to try and find an outlet for it. And I think art was a bit like that, but one of the annoying or, like, difficult things is, like, I'll often get into a hobby because of that part of me, but then I'll find something that I like about it. So, like, you know, air crash investigation. That part of me likes the fire and the destruction. But then I'm like, no, wait, the engineering here is really interesting. The engineering and the physics. And that's what I'll focus on. So, like, you know, it was supposed to have, like, things were supposed to have been an outlet for the other part of me, but then I end up taking over into my own, like, nerdy direction. And does it not, has anyone else noticed that the hobbies, at least some of the hobbies I get into, involve, like, having power over some other living thing? So there's bonsai, you have power over the trees. But then there's all the nerdy, like, stuff about horticulture in there. And the growth patterns of plants. And then I've got, like, the ant keeping thing. You're trapping, like, a living creature in there. But then it's kind of interesting to study what it does and, like, what do the ants like to eat, and I don't know, like, do I have any normal hobbies that don't have, like, some other thing going on? I don't know. And I think that's all that I just needed to get out. And damn, I should have just gone for it instead of having this thing where I've got to edit on the introduction now, because I fucking chickened out. I think what made that hard, though, is I did make that video about plastic, which got me into a more nerdy state of mind, and it's hard to talk about any of this shit unless, like, it's actually come up more for me as an issue. Okay, look, so it's done, and we're just gonna edit it and then post it, and we can go and have something to eat. Well, since I haven't put together that video yet, might as well keep filming. Add this on the end. Just finished watching episode 5 of Moon Knight, which is easily the heaviest, and I kind of forgot about that. So I've written a note for my psychologist, like, you know, I write so much shit, but this is the second thing I've highlighted since our last session. The first thing was to do with the Catholic bullshit. This one, so I started, is that flashing, or is my brain just sort of, no, it's not. Should I just read it as it's written? That's probably the easiest thing. Really don't want to, but I'm just like fucked enough in the head from watching that I'm just gonna have to fucking do it. So the dissociation, it started up the most when thinking about the scene where the main character, okay, so I don't know if my psychologist knows any of the characters, so I'm using vague terms. Stir up the most when thinking about the scene where the main character gets asked if he created his alter to hide from the bad things he thinks he's done, or if his alter created him to punish the world for the abuse he's suffered. I think the other part of me prefers that vibe, whereas I was thinking about how I'd done nothing wrong to deserve being emotionally neglected, so my mind probably tried to invent a reason. Digging into, issues. It's probably, like, not the way to read it. In terms of expression and like how I intended it to sound, but it's all I can manage right now. Kind of hate it. Oh, what was I gonna say? There was something else. Fucking should just edit out bits where I'm struggling to figure out what I was on about. Nothing knowledge. Mine probably tried to invent a reason. What was the other thing? I completely lost my train of thought. How's my... It was just there. Oh, no, like the other thing was the schizoid stuff. What is that? Something about blocked energy. And maybe because you've shut down all your emotions, but they still exist just behind like some kind of a wall, and the way that that builds up as a sort of pressure, can feel malevolent in some way. And so that's more reason to subconsciously push it back, and so you never end up feeling anything because it's like threatening in that weird kind of a way. I probably just spoiled it. I was going to do that poll. I need to get to bed before I break something or end up like fully out of my mind and then too distracted to actually get to bed. Ooh. Okay, yeah, cool. Just looking crazy on the internet. There's nothing new about that. Nothing to be particularly insecure about, right? Alright, I finished Moon Knight. Psychology tomorrow is gonna be interesting. Unless I chicken out and just like deflect a lot. Cause yeah, if she's not direct enough, maybe that's chicken out. No, okay, coherent thoughts. Sorry, playing with my voice. Coherent thoughts. What was it? The fact that the episode is shorter than the others. Like, watching it, I was like, this feels really short. And yeah, sure enough, it is a little bit shorter than the others. I'm not sure by how much, because I kept rewinding to hear some of the dialogue I was missing, which is a bad habit, but I don't like having subtitles the whole time. It's just sometimes modern actors aren't as clear, and I know they do it for realism, but that's why it's harder to understand what they're saying some of the time. Especially when there's a lot of different accents going on, so your ears can never quite get the hang of the accent. But no, so shorter episode than the others, and I can't help but think about how it's kind of appropriate because, spoiler alert, because he blacks out in the middle of the massacre. Or he blacks out and then the whole massacre happens and they don't need to show the massacre on camera because he blacked out. That's fun. And then so the episode is a little bit shorter. The episode done so well. Like when you just watch it and you don't really know what's going on, I can imagine that they'd be like, what a cop-out, but it's perfect. Oh dear. happen to be wearing this shirt. It's because I went to an art thing. Me, 3 little old ladies, and 1 little old man. Because hanging out with old people is apparently a thing that I've done since forever. Mainly with my grandma. Did I tell you about the time that I went with my grandma down to Canberra on a bus full of little old ladies, mostly, and I was like the only young person? That's my life. I keep accidentally doing things that older people are into, like bonsai. Was always the youngest. I mean, now occasionally you get a younger student, but yeah, it's mostly old people do that too. Why am I bringing up older people? Oh, because I was wearing this shirt. I thought I would goth up a bit. I even had eyeliner. In my little punk skirt. What's happening now? I need to get ready for bed because I got less than 4 hours of sleep. That's fun. So, like, my brain is a little bit muddled from watching Moon Knight. And sleep deprivation. What a fantastic combination. I'm surprised I functioned so well today. I didn't even nap. What's happening? How is it that I only just now feel really, really tired? And like the tiredness is in conjunction with my brain feeling like it's doing too much at once because I'm trying to hold on to my regular sense of self, but at the same time there's other shit going on in my brain, and it gives me funny feelings. Tiredness, what was I talking about that for? Oh, brain, focus. Was there something else? There was something else that I wanted to mention, and I can't remember now. Why does this keep happening? I got myself distracted, didn't I? Oh, the empathy thing. Just a comment on, like, the weird ways that I experience empathy. Because, the whole schizoid thing, and just depression and being apathetic and not giving a shit about the world, there's a lot of detachment. But my brain will latch onto certain things, and I guess you would describe it as empathy. And the first time I remember being told that I had any kind of high level of empathy was in English class in high school. I think it was our final year, and we had to watch this excruciating show called Frontline, where they make fun of current affairs programs, basically like trash news. I'm aware there's an American show that is or was called Frontline. No, this is an Aussie show. It's a comedy, but the characters just make these horrible decisions constantly, and they're horrible people, and things are constantly going wrong, and I found it really hard to watch. I hate watching that kind of thing. And my English teacher, seeing me just like not enjoying the experience at all, and she made a comment about how I had so much empathy. I didn't really see it as empathy. I just don't want to watch obvious failure. And that's for the similar reason I find it hard to watch Seinfeld sometimes, because sometimes it's funny, but then other times it's just like, what are you people doing? Stop it. But no, I mean, like, watching films, I think my brain can get a little bit too absorbed in it, but like, it latches onto the wrong characters a lot of the time. I mean, like, the earliest one I can think of, I think it might have been, it was either like a Lion King thing or something to do with wolves. And I connected to some, like, one of those animal characters, and, like, they have the paws, and I remember walking around, like, sort of thinking about paws. And I probably even held my hands like that, and just, like, being stuck in that kind of animal vibe. As far as cartoons depict animals, I wouldn't know what a real animal feels like. But like, the characters and all that. And then happens with books. Is this like schizoid fantasy, or is this a dissociation thing, or what is going on with my brain, I don't know. And then, like, in terms of, I mean, you know, if it was an animal show, then you kind of don't have many options on what to latch onto. But I have generally found myself drawn to a lot of the darker characters. And, like, have I told you the story of going to siblings group? Which I think now they call it young carers, which is kind of a gross term. But because I have a disabled sibling, we got sent off to support groups that I didn't really feel supported, and they kind of just educated us on chromosomes years ahead of our peers and, you know, other shit. But they did this meditation thing. We have to imagine yourself in a garden and you go and, like, sit on a bench and meet your special friend. And my special friend was, like, one of the villains from Power Rangers. And I'm just, like, you know, at the time I was just like, it seemed, you know, why not? It seems like a cool character. But in hindsight, I'm like, if they had asked me who it was, maybe they would have realized that I was a bit screwed up in the head. Like, why am I not relating to the heroes in that situation? And when there are heroes, it tends to be, like, fucked up ones, like Angel Angelus from Buffy. Why is that a thing? And so, yeah, and then, I don't know, for some reason, this shit like Moon Knight with conflicted characters, all the duality stuff, it just sets off shit in my brain. And, like, see, that's what, I don't know if I'm... No, I think I do get, like, my own kind of dissociation, but I think it also, like, has something in that fucked up empathy circuit that, like, sets it off. And then, yeah, it takes sort of a while to come out of the imaginary world. Like, even fucking reading a book I don't entirely like. Well, at least there's the magic-y kinds of bits, and when there's a good bit, and then my brain's absorbed in that, and it takes a while to come back to reality. I think that's one of the reasons I stopped reading and watching so much stuff, and just sort of took myself out of the fantasy world. I mean, one of the reasons is because the real world is shit. But I think also, like, I mean, it could have been because I get stuck too much in that world. Yeah, anyway, no, I don't know, like, I know schizoids have a tendency towards fantasy, and maybe that's a thing. It's just, like, I'm less willing, and then it takes over my brain anyway. Anyway, empathy circuits. But my brain only does it in certain ways. And, like, I guess with pets, but they have to be my pets. If someone sends me a picture of their pet, I think I used to maybe have a reaction, but now I'm just like, shit, hey, I don't give a shit about your dog. I only care about my dog. And even then, sometimes me caring about my dog is like a kind of disconnected. But it's definitely there, based on my actions and all that. I need to get to bed before I break something. Or it's like current feeling. It's not really pins and needles, but I don't really know how to explain it. Why are there no words to explain the fucking, you know, I get to bed before I break stuff or get carried away doing something else, and then before you know it, it's midnight again. It's what, 10 past 10? Okay, go to bed, me. Go the fuck to bed. Okay, it's the 18th of January. I'm finally up to editing this video that you've just been watching. I can't exactly remember everything that I said. I remember the general vibe, me freaking out. So, as an update, the day after finishing Moon Knight, I went and saw my psychologist, and pretty much chickened out of saying too much. I mean, she reads my diaries, but I don't know. What was interesting is, like, in my diaries, apparently this time I was more, like, I guess clinical or observing. Observing mind is the thing that I'm supposed to do. so she perceived it as an improvement on, you know, like when I first started seeing her, and it was a bit more of a like, bah, kind of thing in my head. And I think I was reacting to it more emotionally, she reckoned. Now, the trouble is, what I'm writing doesn't always reflect the way that I'm experiencing it or the way I'm thinking. And so I don't know. I can't tell you if I was actually more clinical about it, because you've seen me freaking out, and that's like just what I was willing to put on camera. Never mind the stuff that happened off camera. And so, yeah, I'm not sure if I was actually feeling more, I don't know, detached from the emotional reaction to it, or if it's just that it was like so much that the only thing I could write, like I could only write in that very sterile kind of way, because if I just wasn't capable of expressing what I was really going through. Like, I don't know which it is. I have a feeling it's that I couldn't really express, you know, how much it was affecting me. So, and I tried to explain that, but I'm not sure that she understood what I was getting at. Anyway, no, the session though, like it was our first session of the year after like a month break, and so, you know, there were a few things to go over, which like she had to remind me what I've even been up to, because like a month is such a long time. But you know, there's things like, I can't remember the whole session, things like improvement with things with my parents, improvements in me doing stuff, slight improvement on my sleep, although since that session, like before that session I was getting to bed before midnight. Now the last few days it's been after midnight, so I better not let this ramble on too long. This is going to be a long video though by the time I edit everything together, because I haven't had a chance to watch it back either, so I'm sorry if I repeat anything or miss anything. Chuck it in the comments, I can do a follow-up. Yeah, okay, so yeah, most of the session was sort of catching up on that stuff. Some of the things that I've been doing, like I joined my local art society and socialized with the little old ladies and one man, and I'm like the only young person, and because I look younger than I am, they probably thought like, bit odd, but I turned up slightly goth. Did I take photos? I'm not sure if I took photos of my outfit. I didn't overdo it, but I did do my eyeliner, just to screw with them. Did I do that before or after going to psychology? What even day? Oh no, it was the day before. The day before. I might have already mentioned it, I don't know. Yeah, no. And then, okay, so in terms of dissociation since then, well, I think on the day that I saw my psychologist, it was still an issue for me, because it was like the night after finishing Moon Knight. And that day, also I was planning to go out after psychology, because there's like, you know, one of my pants got a hole in it, and, you know, pants that I laze around with Triton, and, you know, it's time to let those pants go and move on to something new. So I had to go and buy some new pants, because I don't just have normal people clothes lying around these days, although I do, they're just not that comfy. So yeah, had to go to the shops to buy some, and then there were other things I needed to buy for Triton. I needed to buy him another bag of carrots, and I needed to buy myself some bread, and like there's just these little bits and pieces. You know, since I already had to be out for psychology, why not just get all the outing stuff done at once? Especially with my parents looking after, you know, keeping tabs on Triton. Apparently he behaves really well when I'm not around. And he's just a rat bag when I'm here because he's too excited. He doesn't know what to do with himself. He's not that bad. He is a bit of a force of chaos. But like when my friend was looking after him, sorry to go on a tangent, but you know me, she also said that while I was out, he did really well. Anyway, yeah, it's the same with Hope though. Like Hope was like that too. Apparently he behaved differently when I wasn't around. Why was I talking about? Oh, so because I was going out that day, like all day, and I had to pop in to see a friend to drop off a USB stick, and yeah, I ended up turning up to psychology in like did I already talk about this? I might have. I don't even know. I'm sorry if it's repetitive because I can't actually remember what I've already said. But I turned up to psychology and I was wearing like more of a goth outfit. Let me just double check. When was my last one that I filmed? Okay, so yeah, I didn't tell you. I don't know if I took a photo of what I was wearing. That would have been on the... Oh, I did. Okay, just so I can remember for myself. Yeah, I was wearing... Oh, okay. I was wearing one of the shirts that the other part of me quite identifies with. I was also wearing all my spikes and a black skirt, the punk rave one, and I had eyeliner on. So, and I also wore my By the Fireplace perfume because that one actually settles that part of me. Like, it can set it off, but it can also settle it because it's just, the smell of burning. Anyway, so I turned up to psychology like that. Usually I would just turn up kind of like I am now, like lazy slob mode, tired slob mode. Not with the Hunten though. I don't wear the Hunten out of the house. It's too bulky. But yeah, no, I mean, that was a hot day, so the skirt was justified. But the spikes and the dark shirt, if I remember, I'll edit in a picture if I remember. And so my psychologist did notice when I walked in, and she's just like, oh, I love the new style. I don't think I've seen you with makeup before, and I'm sure she has, but, it's probably been a while. And it was only my eye makeup, like eyeliner and eyeshadow. I don't know if she, clicked that maybe that was part of the dissociation expressing itself. Because, I don't dress up like that often. I need to have the energy, and I need to have some kind of motivation. And, a lot of the dark shit that I do is because of that part of me. Because, before I started doing goth stuff, I just wore what was comfy. But then once I stumbled onto more of the goth stuff, and also once it occurred to me that it was possible for me to dress like that, then that part of me is like, fuck yes, let's go right in. And the fact that I learned to growl. I was fine singing, your fucking Spice Girls and whatever. I mean, not so into the love songs of pop music, but if it's a fun melody, suits my voice, why not? But a lot of the dark stuff came from that other part of me. Also, I was talking to one of my friends. There aren't many friends that I talk to about this stuff, and pretty much only one in real life. But I was messaging her about stuff, and she said, the fact that I'm saying the other part of me is apparently an improvement. I can't remember how I was describing it before, but my psychologist was very much about telling me that's how I should speak about it as the other part of me. Because, it is about parts. It's not, a different person or anything. It's just, my brain doing dumb shit. So, yeah. But anyway, I turned up to psychology dressed like that. And, yeah, she noticed, my psychologist, but, yeah, didn't... I don't know that she understood what it meant to my brain. And then, yeah, for the first part of the session was going over more normal stuff, and then we got to the dissociation at the end. I mean, she does ask if there's anything I want to talk about, but I can't actually bring up that stuff in session. It's much easier to bring up shit on YouTube, because really I'm just talking to a little webcam. I keep saying that. And I can always just not post this stuff if later me is like, you know what, you don't need to be that crazy online. But on the other hand, why waste the effort? I've already filmed this much, I might as well post it, right? And, the whole thing's meant to be my own diary. Originally I was just trying to document my life, and so, it just happens to go on the internet, because otherwise I'm too inclined to delete everything! So, yeah, I have to post it to make sure I don't delete it. Anyway, so... I think I did okay the rest of the day, though. I don't know that I had any issues with dissociation, and where are at my actual notes? Oh no, that day I did have dissociation issues. I think, as long as I was busy, it was fine. But if I ran out of things to do and my mind wandered for a bit, then I would get some of that dissociation, not feeling like myself vibe, and have to be like, wait a minute, try and get things back together. And one thing with my psychologist, like, I did say, like, I don't know what to do about this. Like, should I just not humor it? Or do I need to dig into it to understand it more? And what she said is, like, usually the traditional way to treat dissociation, stuff like this, is just to work on grounding. Now, grounding doesn't really work for me. Like, whenever they're like, oh, try and name however many colors that you see or whatever, that doesn't help me. And also, when I saw the DID specialist and she threw the toy at me, I'm just like, this is dumb. That didn't help me. What helps me is distraction. And I said that to my psychologist, and she said that is kind of a type of grounding because it brings you to the present. So it's not the traditional grounding of like 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, or whatever. I don't even remember what they all are. But for me, it's just about distraction, finding something for my brain to focus on. So since then, I think that's mostly happened because the next day there was a lot of rain. It's been raining a lot in Sydney, and so that's kind of messed up, especially that first day. It really messed up my routine with Triton. And so my whole day kind of revolved around that. And then I have gotten back onto my life after that, but I haven't been watching any more series. I haven't watched like the special features or anything. So, because I've been trying to catch up on like YouTubing and some Instagram stuff, and I also got asked to do a thing, which by the time you see this, hopefully you'll have seen it. I just won't say it just in case anything goes wrong there. Getting onto the art. Oh, and the fucking email situation, because I finally, like, when Microsoft finally killed my Windows Mail app, and so I have had to actually go back to the ones that I had been considering and do a bit more research and decide, and that took a lot of time, and that really put me in nerd mode because I had to research so much stuff. I also caught a new aunt, and I had to do some stuff fixing things up for my other aunt, and I haven't actually shown you any of these aunts, so what am I talking about? Okay, point being, I've been distracted enough. But in terms of, like, dissociation, today I don't think I've had any issues. But there have been a couple incidents. So first of all, Lethal Cosmetics did a Dexter collab. I'm just like, what? There's Dexter makeup now? Are you crazy? But of course, that part of my brain is like, we should take a look at this. And so they've got, like, this eyeshadow box. And I posted in my community tab about it. This eyeshadow, I think I did anyway. Yeah, this eyeshadow box that's like his blood slide box. And it's kind of cute and clever, but it's like mostly shades. Like, yeah, it has shades I would use, but I've already got them all, so I don't need that palette. And then I went down a rabbit hole of, like, looking up blood slide boxes. And then I remembered it's not actually a blood slide box. It's a microscope slide box. Because if you write in blood slide box, you just get Dexter merch. But if you write microscope slide box, then you get the real thing. And you can buy that, and you can store your makeup in that. And then we don't need to buy expensive thing with stuff that we don't need that will just be a collector's item that will eventually go bad, and then what? And then they've also got a makeup brush set that's set up like his kill tools, and I'm like, my bonsai tools look more like his actual kill tools than this fluffy shit. But I did have to convince myself not to buy any. So that was like, that wasn't an obvious dissociation thing, but it did kind of like distract me, and okay, fine, there was a bit of dissociation in there. And then the other thing is yesterday I dressed up in all the cybergoth stuff. I did the makeup even up to my forehead so I could wear the wig. And once I was all dressed up with the wig, with the outfit and all that, and the makeup, and looked in the mirror, then I had that moment of, like, that part of my brain going, that's much more accurate than this look. In terms of, I guess, how that part of me sees itself or something. And, like, even the way that I was able to act and pose for photos seemed to change. And It's funny how changing your appearance can do that. Like, I realized ages ago that appearance, but also like the way that clothes hug you. Now, not so much in this situation, but like I did have some clothes a while back, and the way they hugged my body in a particular way changed the vibe and sort of put my brain into a bit more of a different state of mind. And this update is going on way too long. I suppose the only people who are watching this video though are the ones who are weird enough to tolerate it, because yeah, tolerating my breakdowns and mental illness quirks is a very niche thing. So congratulations watching this far to get up to the part of me that's a little bit less crazy. Yeah. So those are the two main dissociation issues I've had since then. I've had a little bit of mild stuff popping up as I've talked about it, because talking about it does set it off. That's what I mean about should I humor it or ignore it? Like not humor it or dive into it, I'm not sure. But if I humor it, it does set it off. And you know, my psychologist was also like, you know, since that can sort of trigger it a bit, should we keep talking about it? The thing is, like, while I'm in session with an actual person there, I'm not going to, like, even if I'm having those dissociation things going on in my head, I'm probably not going to show a lot of it, because that's just not how it works for me. Like, for me to show that in front of my dog, even in front of my dog, who's very safe. It's only happened once that I remember. And then in terms of in front of other people, there's really only my ex has seen it in a really obvious way. And then another dude I dated, I don't think actually saw it, but heard some stuff and some behaviors. And then, I don't know, maybe just a few clips on YouTube a long time ago, when it would occasionally break out on camera, but I haven't done that in a very long time, and I don't plan on doing it again. So yeah, it's not like I'm going to show my psychologist that stuff. I mean, she's the best psychologist I've had, and I do feel like I can talk to her about stuff, but there's still just like, no, it's not that. And I also don't need anyone to see that happen with me. Yeah, no, I don't need it. Anyway, so is that everything I wanted to just update? Probably. And then, so today has been not too bad, although, yeah, no, I found another perfume with some smokiness. It's a Clinique one. Should I just grab it for you? Because I know some of you were interested in By the Fireplace, but it's really expensive. I haven't written my review yet for the Scent God. It's Clinique Aromatics Elixir. And so it smells less like fireplace, less like burning the world down and classy, in a classy way. It's more like, starts off more like a barbecue. So kind of like friendly barbecue, smoky, it's a bit weird. And then when it settles, at some point, I don't know, today it kind of smelled a bit like incense, but I'm not sure if that's because I was in and out of the studio where I've been burning incense lately. Burning things. Sorry, that the dissociation part of my brain is like, burning things is great fun. And sort of just wanted to mention, you don't need perfume, you can just get incense and anything that'll burn to sort of satisfy that need to burn things. But yeah, so it does have that smoky smell, but it's more barbecue, and then I think I need to try it again. But no, I kind of got incense vibes, and then now it's more just like, oh, there's a tiny bit of smoke left, but I think it got a bit more, I don't know, it's not really fruit, maybe floral, or I don't know, I'm not really good at identifying stuff. But anyway, I haven't looked up how much it is, but you know, if you want something with some smoke, that one's okay. It's not as good. But yeah, I'm still on my quest to find cheaper versions of smokiness. I still think, like, in terms of the hierarchy of that part of me rating perfumes, By the Fireplace is the top, and then the tragic, the either ones, Lovecraft and Arcanum. I think those are the ones that smell like amber and teak moss and nag champa. those two are the next in line, and then I would say this, and maybe the blue mecha dance floor spray mist thing. Anyway, so yeah, just had to pass that on from the depths of my brain. That's one of the things, is like, even if I'm not going to show you a switch on camera shit, I can still relay like the impulses that are happening in my brain that I'm just like, really, this is like immature shit, but okay. There you go, smoky perfumes and interesting perfumes. Like, I know the Aether ones aren't smoky, but I guess they appeal in a bit more of a like witchy way. God, and I keep getting the emails. Oh, I keep seeing stuff about witchy stuff, and I'm like, it's all bullshit. Why is my brain fixating on it? Anyway, I've got to get to bed. This video, I'm scared of how long this video is going to be. And like all the people who came here for DVDs, if I put in the title something about Moon Knight triggering me or whatever, I don't know, like the Moon Knight, the people who came here for the 4K stuff might start watching it, and it's me like having a mental spaz. And then they find out how nutty I really am. If they get that far. If they don't go like, okay, this is weird, unsubscribe. Messing with people is fun, and I think it might come from that part of me as well. Because if you can't like mess with people's lives or whatever, mess with their heads. There's nothing crazy about that, right? I'm gonna go before I hurt myself. Before I also, look, I bought more fucking shit. They've really got me sussed. Okay, bye. Bye. I'm not gonna do a jump scare. I promise. I promise. You can trust me. I'm the normal version of me.